PES is back, or is it still eFootball, a mediocre card packing game? It can't be as bad as the last update, can it? No, not quite, but it's far from perfect. There's also two very nice additions that's been added, so stay tuned to find out what those are and why I've been calling for one of these for the longest time possible. Welcome to my review of 3.6 for eFootball. I'm Spoony Pizzas, and the first thing you're going to notice here is there's a slight dip in the pace of the game now. Things appear a little bit slower, not much, and it definitely benefits the game in some ways, but makes the gameplay feel a little bit more boring in others, and I'm going to explain more on that later. The first touch was instantly noticeably a little bit heavier. Players manipulate the ball a little bit slower. Just look here how Adriano turns with the ball. It honestly felt like forever as he rolls the defender before scoring. Whilst I continue my review, I'll let the golden goal event play out against a high-ranking Division 1 player who knew all the mechanics and tricks of eFootball in how to win, playing that quick counter play style whilst I was using a possession-based style and flooded my midfield in order to try and stop his meta 4-3-3. The heavier first touch makes it feel like you have far less time on the ball and can't breathe, and when you're facing a good player can be stifling and feel like a real battle on the pitch. Movement on the ball, whether you're running with or without the ball, feels a little bit slower too. These differences are so marginal that you probably won't notice them, but they are there and they do impact the overall feel and look to the game. However, as I mentioned with Adriano turning slowly, this happens for most players now, even the likes of Ankara Messi, so mazy dribbles against high-ranking players who know exactly how to defend properly will be nearly impossible. Instead, it rewards high-paced and high-dribble stat players to make runs in straight lines away from the defenders, so opting for the fastest players on the pitch over those with tight possession like Messi feels like the way to go in the wide areas, which is a negative for me, as one of the soundbites from eFootball hierarchy in the past was that one-on-one duels, but I feel like that's been lost here and was also completely lost in 3.5. The next thing you're going to notice is the pass speed for low passes has been decreased a little bit. Again, this brings the overall pace of the game down. The ball feels no longer like it pings around at breakneck speeds, even on pass assist level 1 and 2. There feels like there's much more friction between the ball and the grass, and it feels more realistic when compared to matches in real life side by side. However, the pass accuracy has been reduced as well. Watch as this simple pass here is misplaced by Vieira. This means that there's going to be far more turnovers during play, providing more end-to-end gameplay. The same can be said for lofted passes too, as the speed has decreased. Switching the play is still possible from one flank to another, but if you want to avoid being closed down quickly, I recommend using the stunning lofted pass in order to switch play. Through balls are still frustratingly too accurate now that everyone pretty much has high level pass stats in the game, but the methods for scoring with overloading wide areas, 1-2s through the middle are the order of the day to beat your opponent. It feels like a puzzle, a basic puzzle, but you need to have the right players in the right place without being in the wrong place when defending, just applying enough pressure on the ball to win it back without being exposed, and that remains largely the same in 3.6. There's no changes to the shot or pass speed for the stunning variety, but with the slower pass speeds, the stunning variety become a little bit more essential if you want to raise the tempo of your game. High crossing is much the same, stunning crosses a little less accurate. However, the low cross variety is definitely less accurate and feels way more assisted in a weird way. I don't know if I was doing something or whether the game is impacting on the live broadcast view, which I always play on, but when doing a low early driven cross, it feels far more random, and that is definitely a bad thing for me, as this was my sort of way of playing a low driven manual pass. There's no change to the shooting mechanics or speed of shots except for the close range shots from crosses, which can go horribly wrong. To nullify this, just make sure you're using the chip shot for that improved accuracy, as I mentioned in previous videos. However, when it comes to headers, they've added a new feature. Well, it's not exactly new to PES, because I'm going to go out on a limb here. I believe it is PES 2015, where you could press triangle on your controller after pressing the shoot to produce a downward header. It's now back in eFootball, and all you need to do to perform a stunning header with over 50% power and that will ensure that produces a downward header. I'll bring a full tutorial out soon on the channel. And the second new feature is that you can now pull off spectacular overhead kicks and scissor kicks by using the stunning shot variety when the ball is in the air. So you just need to perform a stunning shot when the ball is in the air. It doesn't appear to work for stunning crosses, but I've not tested this thoroughly yet to be able to say for sure if that's the case, but it seemed that way from my initial playthrough from knocking out all the events and playing some online divisions. Your player will need acrobatic finishing in order to pull these off, and timing is absolutely crucial in making contact with the ball. Again, a full tutorial for this will be on the channel soon, so stay tuned for both of those. There's no adjustments to chip shots, but these feel fine to me. Skills and skill responsiveness is largely the same, but with everything else toned down can make them feel a little bit more responsive. But like in 3.5, skills remain pretty useless again, and when facing a player who knows how to defend, the double touch and scissors feint appear far less effective. Now let's touch on the defensive side of things. Defending feels a little bit more manual, I would say, with slightly less assistance, but with mazy dribbling and tight possession players still nerfed from 3.5, defenders still hold the advantage over the attacking player, and when skill level or player skill levels are matched, it's all about understanding and exploiting the mechanics of the game to win. As I mentioned earlier, the player pace has decreased slightly too, meaning closing players down will take more time, and I would definitely welcome this, especially as they reduce the on the ball movement and sprint speed too. Player freezing has gone. No longer your whole team freeze when turning over the ball. Well, to be honest, Konami have done a pretty decent job masking the player freezing that I kept moaning about. The player freezing is still there in a way, but they've added an additional animation where your player will take more time to slow up, whether they're moving or stumbling in the same direction. It makes the gameplay look more natural, and I'm fine with that now. It looks far less jarring, whereas before, like I said, the whole team would literally just freeze and pause for a moment, but the game still looks like it's continuing now, which is a big improvement. Goalkeepers still stay rooted to the line in one-on-one situations. That's fine for online play because you get to control your goalkeepers when they come off the line or when they don't. But for offline matches, and especially with the new Euro tournament mode, this makes for disappointing gameplay in my opinion. Collisions still need work as players crash into each other, and the shoulder barge from behind, often not resulting in a foul, is still there, and that is so frustrating, from which they've pulled from 3.5. If you watch this golden goal event, the amount of time this guy was spamming the shoulder barge was ridiculous, but it's a mechanic that works in winning the ball back, so I can't blame him. It just means you have to treat the ball like a hot potato. Even if your player is facing away from the defender, you're still at risk of losing the ball, which is ridiculous in my opinion. Player weightiness feels good and players turn with far more weight, but I just wish mazy dribbling was more fun, and player ID remains largely the same. Legend AI and CPU feels even easier to beat and definitely need a buff to be more challenging, especially with the new offline Euros and Copa America tournaments that they've added, and I'll give you my thoughts on those later and a comparison to what EAFC is offering. So what do I think overall of version 3.6? Well, it's far better than 3.5, but that's not really saying much. It's still nowhere near the best recent version, which was 3.3 or 3.4, but it is far more playable now. It's just not exciting to pick up and play right now. For me personally, it feels like a bit of a passing fest. I like the 1 vs 1 duels to be more interesting. Yes, that creates a skill gap by nerfing the defending and assistance and increasing the speed at which players can turn and manipulate the ball. Skills should have more of an impact, but not too much where everyone's spamming skills all over the pitch. It's about finding that right balance between attack and defense. Overall, it is an improvement over a 3.5, but 3.6 does little to wow me, as it feels like a passing fest that I mentioned. I know a lot of players will enjoy that, as it makes it feel more realistic, and I appreciate that. It's still a game at the end of the day, and games are supposed to be fun. The game will feel a little bit slower in all aspects due to the changes I listed, and the 2 new in-game mechanics are definitely a welcome addition. Hopefully Konami keep adding new mechanics like this to expand the gameplay and try and increase that skill gap, which is shortening day by day. In 3.5, it was the first time in eFootball history where I didn't even complete the match pass of 100 games with my extended boycott of the game, and I scored that version a 3 out of 10. Version 3.6 is an improvement, which I give a 5 out of 10, but compare that to the recent highest 3.3, which I scored a 7 out of 10. Konami need to do more to raise the excitement of these matches. It shouldn't be a complete sweat fest with whoever has the best cards holds the biggest advantage, but obviously that is their selling point and how they make their money, so I can't really blame them for that. Anyway, thank you so much for watching my review, and I'll see you soon on the pitch. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments down below. Do you like it? Do you prefer it over 3.5? And yeah, just give me your overall feedback. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Take care of yourselves. Stay safe. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.